next person, she's moved 4 times in the span of 8 months. She's lost all of her ether in the Dow, and she wears crop pants no matter how cold it is, being caught with them on in minus 30-degree weather. Mawadda, come on up here.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Crop pants today, sort of. So, my name is Mawadda Basir. I told someone in the audience that I'd introduce myself, like an AA meeting, like, hi, my name is Mawadda, I'm 25 years old, I fucked up. Everyone says, hi, Mawadda. Thank you. So this is my little story. And like I said, I'm 25 years old, so I had my fuck up pretty early, which is pretty lucky, I think. But right now I'm at Polymath, which is a crypto startup. That's not where my journey begins. It actually starts at Deloitte, Big D, Big Four, where I was a blockchain consultant, cushy job. I had benefits, like Jordan mentioned. Benefits, totally overrated, underrated sometimes. It's pretty nice. And I worked with a really great team. I got to do really cool projects. I was living pretty well. Like I was pretty comfortable. And someone I worked with at Deloitte was a mentor of mine. I really looked up to her, and she left Deloitte a little early to try to work on this fun project called Collider X. Has anyone here actually heard of Collider X? I know you have. Amelia was our CoinSquare exec account representative, so I'm calling her out on that. But so Collider X was this project that I worked on with my mentor, evenings and weekends. The idea behind it was, in the blockchain space, there's a lot of projects that, a lot of people who are working on really cool research, technical research, well-needed research. They didn't have the funding for it, they didn't have the support for it, and they didn't know what to do with this research. We call them like the nerds. And then on the other side of that, we have the suits, the execs who want that research, sometimes don't know how to find that research, or don't know how to incentivize people enough to get that research from them. Closed-doored research, no more, is kind of our motto. Talking about unbiased, widely accessible, the whole butterflies, unicorns of nice openness, transparency, the ethos of blockchain in its origin. So I spent my evenings and weekends working on this. I loved it. It's what I thought about it all day at work with my clients. All I wanted to do was work on this. So the day came where I was like, you know what? Why am I still doing this corporate job? I'm miserable. I find this enjoyable. I don't even get paid to do it. Why don't I just do this full time? So I talked to my mentor, and she said, you know what? We're at a place right now with Collider X where we can probably bring someone on full time and pay them in a few months. You would be perfect for it. So I took her up on that offer, and I did the whole, it was delightful to work here, but I gotta go. So I left Deloitte, and resigned, gave like a month's notice, did my work, transitioned, and went over to Collider X, where for about 6 months, I worked with this team. The one thing here is I was the only full-time person, therefore the only person whose livelihood relied on the success of this project. But I worked with really smart people, and at this time I was 23 years old. I learned a lot when I joined, and really got into the weeds with them, and tried to push the Collider X vision. And the goal for Collider X at that time was, on one end, let's get some researchers that would want to be part of this project, and let's also get people to pay these researchers and us to do this. So I did the whole conference tour. I spoke at different conferences in Canada, the States, mostly spent my time in those 2 regions, and just did the whole conference tour trying to sell this vision. Of course, unlike some of those ICO white papers, trying to actually deliver on what we're trying to believe, like what we were believing in, which is this whole Collider X research center. So at the same time as being on stage, talking to people, I was also talking to academics, trying to get them to be part of this, talking to corporates and really big-wig crypto investors to get them to give us their money. And it's really hard to ask someone for their money. Has anyone ever been in like a sales meeting and saying like, hey, this is what we'll give you, and then sliding the can you give us like a few $100,000 to do this for you? And just totally get shut down. Has anyone been in that situation? Totally being shut down in a sales meeting? Yeah, there's a few of you. It sucks. It's like so discouraging. Anyway, so I did this whole thing. Really fun, really lost my voice a few times. I obviously still get nervous on stage, so that's great. But I did it. And there was a point in time where I was like, oh shit, like nothing's working. I'm on these stages, I'm going to New York, I'm going to Boston, I'm talking to all these people. I'm talking to Reuters, I'm talking to Accenture, EY, all these big companies. They're really interested, but like no one wants to do it the way we want to do it. Because the way we want to do it is like unbiased research, no strings attached, just like, total, just give us your money, let us do the research, and you can use it. But the reality is that that model looked so good on paper. Like our white paper was great. I worked on it. Our white paper was great. The execution, I like to think we tried really hard with the execution, but the market just wasn't appreciating it. The other thing, and Jordan talked about this, crypto winter sucked. Because when I left my cushy job at Deloitte, one of the things I looked at to hold me over for the next few months with no salary was my crypto fund. Which at this time looked horrible. I was like, oh fuck, like Bitcoin like just dropped like half the price. It's down to like 8K right now. My Ether, after I lost it on the Dow, I bought more because I'm dumb. Bought more Ether, it looks like shit. It's just brutal. I was like, okay, my crypto's pretty brutal. Don't know if I want to use Quadriga to take it out. Thank God I didn't. But I have some cash still, so at this time I'm like, okay, I still have some leeway, I have some cash, let me keep working on this, let me try to convince one of these companies to give us their money. We have researchers, they're ready to go, we just need the money. And at one point, it was kind of like this really exhausting process, because I was like, okay. By the way, I really like memes, and I love this movie. Fuck, I am financially poor. Had to borrow money from my dad to pay for my rent the next month. I'm really grateful that I had friends that let me crash with them and like pay like cheap rent to like get by. One of them is actually in the room. Business-wise, I'm fucked because this is not working. Everything we've been working on, everything we've been trying to build, just like we're not getting the response we need. And then emotionally, and Jordan actually touched on this, I feel like not enough people talk about this, the emotional like drain of it. Because not only are you working on this one thing like 24/7, you like for example, I built a website in like 36 hours. I've never built a website before. It was disgusting. I was like one of those people in like sweatpants, like a sweater. Like I ate cold pizza. And I just tried to build this website so we can collect money from people. Exhausted, emotionally exhausted because I'm building this website for 36 hours. That means I'm miserable to my roommates. So they hate me, and like just trying to deal with like family, friends, relationships. It was just like brutal. So at one point, it's like, okay, help me, I'm poor. That help me, I'm poor kind of went to my dad. I'm like, oh, I need money, and also went to my team that I was working with on ColliderX, and I said, guys, I really need help. I feel alone. I feel like I'm doing this by myself. I'm not getting the support I need. I need more. And I feel like I'm taking on all the risk. And they jumped in and they said, all right, let's figure this out. So we tried to figure out some pivots. And to remind you, I left my Deloitte job because I wanted to do something that was way more interesting and fascinating. All of the pivots we talked about were so, I was just like, I don't care. Like this is whatever. I'd rather just do something else. And the pivots didn't fascinate me. So it was just this big moment, and great time for this to not work, where I was like, I fucked up. I really, I made the wrong move. I left this good job. I had benefits. I haven't seen a dentist in a while. Dentists are really expensive without insurance. I got a strep throat at one point, and I had to pay for my antibiotics out of pocket, which really was brutal. So it was rough. I was like, I fucked up. This business isn't working. I can't do it. I thought I could do it. I thought I could do everything. I thought it was really great. But this one thing I really wanted to do, and that I really just strived to do, I couldn't do it. And that was like disheartening. And so I had to think about, okay, like, I was like a little depressed for a while, just trying to figure out my shit. And I thought, okay, problem number one, I gotta pay rent in like a month. What am I gonna do? So I started to reach out to my network. And one of the people in my network that I knew would hire me back in a heartbeat, and this is me being totally modest, was Deloitte. So has anyone here ever gone back to an ex? No, I'm serious. If you've gone back to an ex, like raise your, like no judgment zone. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't always work out, right? Like in retrospect, you're like, oh, yeah, like I made the right move the first time. Why did I do this? That's what I did. So I went back to my ex. I went back to Deloitte. I did that for a while. I did that for 6 months. But during that time, I was like, what am I doing here? Like I went back to the beginning. I totally like my fuck up took me back like 2 years in my career. I'm back at this company. Whatever, it's fine. Like it's Deloitte. Like they get their shit done. They're known for getting shit done and doing good work. But it wasn't fascinating. I went back to where I started, and it just like it put me in this weird zone where I was like, oh my god, like I thought I was like the shit, but I'm not. And I was going through Reddit, and I saw this quote: "Coming back to where you started is not the same as never leaving." And this just like really hit me hard. Like I screenshotted it, I wrote it in like a notebook. I was like, yeah, like, I went back to where I started, but I'm different. I am different. I'm wiser. I'm smarter. Like I learned a lot. Like I learned 8 months worth of salary of fuck ups. Thank you, thank you. So I thought, you know what? I'm not happy here. I'm not going to be happy here. I gotta find some middle ground. So I thought back, okay, I'm not where I started. I'm different. I've grown. I'm more woke. So let me think it through. So I thought through my experiences over the past 8 months. And during the past 8 months, I was flown out to conferences, spoke at events. People were reaching out to me to provide my consulting skills, my apparent product skills as a consultant, implementation consultant gathers over their time. And I thought, you know what? I can do better than my ex. Let me try this out. So I reached out to my network, and I realized, my fuck ups that I thought would set me back actually moved me forward. And I thought, you know what? During that time, I learned how to start a business. I talk to lawyers every other day. If you can talk to a lawyer every other day, you can do anything. Because like it's wild how much attention they need sometimes to like get shit done, and also to not go to jail or get sued. So I thought, you know what, I can do this. I can do something else. I kind of gathered that confidence again, and I just thought back to that fuck up, that 8 months of fucking up at Collider X. What did I learn? And I put that into a resume. And by the way, at this point, I haven't written a resume in, I think like 3 or 4 years. I didn't need to, so I just was like, all right, let's do this again. Put it all in the resume, everything I learned, put it in the resume, and I started just searching for opportunities. And very lucky to say, I'm in a happier place. I still fuck up every day. My colleague is here from work, and she can probably attest to that. I still mess up, but what I learned during my really big fuck up is it's okay. You learn, you grow, and like everyone fucks up, and it's fine to just pick up your pants and just keep going. Like it's just keep going. I mentioned earlier to someone, Batman Begins is one of my favorite movies, and there's a quote from that where it's like, why do we fall, Bruce? To learn to pick ourselves up. Like totally the case. So picked myself up, joined the team. I'm at Polymath. It's a fintech startup here in Toronto, working on security tokens. I'm a product manager there. I love it. I love the team. You know, I'm releasing product features, and like I'm actually like, you know, doing work, and I enjoy it. And I wake up in the morning, I'm like, all right, let's go to the office. And every day, it's like every time I make a decision, I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong last time? Let's fix that. Let's do it differently this time. So in the end, there is a happy ending. But also, it's just entire journey of fucking up. Totally worth it. No regrets. A few things I wish I did differently. Wish I did not rely on my crypto portfolio. You know, would have been nice if I had some fiat in there. Fake government money instead of fake internet money. But yeah, it's been a journey, and excited for my next decade or so of more fuck-ups. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Mawadda. Hold on to that because we got Q&A coming up next. So does anyone have any questions? Is that one back there, or you're just stretching? You look like you're just stretching. Anyone, any questions? Oh.
Wow, I'm happy to be the first one to ask you questions, and you know all my questions are usually hard questions.
They're great.
Thank you. The first one is you should have cash out earlier with me.
This is Amelia, my account representative from Coinsquare. X account.
So first of all, I've been knowing Mawadda for the past almost 2 years. And like her journey and her hustling and watching her like hustling all the time is just absolutely inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing this genuine and inspiring story with us. Makes me want to cry. Yeah. So I would encourage everyone to give her a round of applause. So I am obliged to ask a question. I really just want to say thank you, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
If you ever look back at your old days with Deloitte, will you do the same thing again?
Now I've learned my lesson. Onward and upward.
Great.
Great, and I think that's a good place to leave it off there. And thanks again, Mawadda.